So I've seen Wonder Woman, and a lot of you probably have by now, but what did I think about it? Welcome back guys, it's Geek here. Yes, it's been long enough now that most people, if they were eager to see Wonder Woman as soon as possible, they would have seen it over the weekend just gone. So hopefully there's no reason to alert you to spoilers, but this review probably won't really have any spoilers anyway because I don't really give loads of spoilers away in my reviews. But if you've not seen it, there might be minor hints at things because of course how can you talk about a movie without talking about the movie? So just keep that in mind. Well, firstly, I just have to say this is, for me, one of the best DCEU movies there's been. But I hear that some of you are back there going, yeah, but that's because DCEU sucks. Yes, people are somewhat divided with some of the DCEU movies. Some have been better than others. A lot of people didn't actually like Batman vs Superman, but then the other half do. And it's a bit of a mixed bag and a bit hit and miss with the DCEU, whereas the MCU, which is obviously very comparable, so I'm going to mention it, is doing better, have done better so far in my opinion. But this movie, it really, for me, saves the DCEU and maybe gives it, a breath of life, and it can go ahead and continue to be something, brilliant basically. So, if you're talking about this just as a movie, then it's a pretty good movie. It's entertaining for most audiences. It's got like the gushy stuff, a bit of romance, a bit of girl power stuff going on, and it's also got, good action and some fight scenes and that kind of stuff going on as well. It's also got enough Easter eggs and little nods and homages to other DC stuff so that, nerds and geeks and that kind of thing will like it on that level as well. And that does bring me on to how good is it as a comic book movie. And again, very good in my opinion. It was a very good origin story. It had the things you wanted to see, the things that needed to be in it. Left something sort of open-ended, so there's a bit of mystery still. But it was a good adaptation from Wonder Woman in the comics and in other variations and TV shows and that kind of thing. And I think it was a good comic book movie. In particular, there was a good scene which you've probably seen a bit of like on trailers and that kind of stuff if you've not watched it yet, which is an homage to the first Superman movie, where in the alleyway and Clark in the alleyway, he's got his glasses on and he saves Lois from the bullet by catching it and pretends to faint, that kind of thing. Well, this had a bit like that, but obviously Diana saves the day and stops the bullet with her bracelet, so that was pretty cool.
Give us Dr. Marvel's notebook.
Where'd I put that thing?
Step back.
So, what's it like then as a movie in the DC Extended Universe? Well, probably the best one there's been so far. I personally like Batman vs Superman. This was probably on par, maybe better. They're both quite long movies. Batman vs Superman did seem a bit long and it did have its problems with it. It actually needed more scenes to make more sense, but it was already so long. I think this movie will make more people happy, both comic book fans and just general audience, than Batman vs Superman in my opinion. I think it would work better just as its own movie, and because it doesn't really ruin, because some people think it's ruined Batman by the fact he kills and that kind of stuff. It doesn't do anything like that, so I think more people will enjoy it for that reason. But as a movie, I think it's on par with it, like on level, maybe slightly better. I think Patty's done a really good job. I think the characters or the actors were engaging in their roles, and yeah, it was a good movie. I think another thing that works for its advantage is the fact that it is an origin story and it's quite linear, whereas Batman vs Superman was trying to do two things. It was trying to have a showdown between two big characters and like introduce Batman, and try and introduce Justice League or set it up. So it's doing two things, a bit of a mismatch going on, whereas this is like a Wonder Woman movie, so for that reason it works better. But it's a movie, and with any movie there are always points about it which aren't perfect, so I will just say a few things which I didn't like, or not necessarily didn't like, but just weren't great about it. So for me, some of the humans aren't perfect, but deep down they're mostly good and they're worth fighting for moments were a bit over the top for me. Like, that happens a lot in DC movies and in other stuff as well. Sometimes it's really good and it does make you feel a bit uplifted, but in this movie it did it a few too many times in a kind of a gushy way, and so for someone like me I was a bit like, rolling my eyes a bit. Where, some people might be like, so touching, but I just think it did it a bit too many times, but that's just a niggle really. And also, and this is a minor spoiler, the end boss battle was very much like Batman vs Superman, where it was, it worked better in this one. It was leading up to it more because it was kind of stated from the start, whereas Batman vs Superman, Doomsday just kind of came out of nowhere. So it wasn't as bad for that reason. But what I mean is, it was like a big bad, and with special powers going on, and lots of CGI for that reason, and no one else mattered in the movie anymore. And it was just kind of weird. I can't really explain it, but it just felt like the Doomsday scenes really. But it was, it was an okay fight scene, but I just think from what happened in the movie to then do that, it's just very different. But it's a superhero movie, so it's going to be a bit weird, I suppose. And also, it did kind of confirm something, or did it? Now, this is another spoiler, but you've probably seen it in the trailer anyway, if you've not seen the movie. Can Wonder Woman fly? Well, it seems like maybe she can, so I'll just quickly explain what I think about it first. So we see an earlier scene when she's training and she managed to do this like force-filled blast everyone away kind of thing, but it was kind of accidental. She couldn't control it, it just came because she needed it. I think the same thing's going on with her flying ability. Basically, when her back's to the wall, when she really needs to, or when she's really sort of gone Super Saiyan, gone angry, she can do something like fly, but she's not got control of it yet and doesn't really know how to do it. She couldn't just do it normally, which is why she's not doing it in Batman vs Superman yet. She's still not discovered it yet. Maybe she will in Justice League movie, but she still can't just at a whim do it. Has to be kind of an emotional thing going on for her to use her powers basically. But a couple of times it did it. It's like you're not sure if it was doing it because of who she's fighting was lifting everything up, or was she lifting herself up, or was she using that person's powers at the end to lift herself up somehow. It wasn't really her power, she was like somehow wielding the other person's power, and it's like it teased it a little bit, which I thought was quite good actually. So I kind of think maybe she can fly like when it's really needed, but she can't control it. I think that's what I took away from it. But yeah, other than that I don't really have any sort of negative things to say about it. That doesn't mean everything else is perfect. Like I've listed a couple things here. It doesn't mean that 98% of the movie is amazing. It means that a couple of percent isn't very good, and then there's a load of percentage which is like alright, and then a bit of percentage as well which is really good, which averages it out as a pretty good movie, I basically think. So I think I would give this movie, what shall I give it? I'm going to give it 7.5 out of 10. Doesn't quite hit 8. I think 8 would be... No, okay, I'll give it 8. I'll give it 8 out of 10. I'll be generous. I was generous with Alien Covenant, gave it 7 when I wanted to give it 6. So I'll give this movie 8 out of 10. But yeah, like I said, I give it 8 out of 10. Do recommend to go and see it if you've not seen it yet, especially if you're a fan of comic books and that kind of stuff. Gal is just amazing, and all the cast are pretty good actually. I think they're all quite entertaining. If you have seen it, let me know what you thought down below, and that'll about do it. So guys, if you like that, please click like, make sure you're subscribed for more videos like this, and I'll see you on the next video. And until then, remember, if you're like flying around in an invisible plane, people can kind of see you, and they can see your butt. You can see right up into your butt. Think about it. Bye! Guys, if you're still here, you're awesome! But as you are still here, why not check out some of my other videos? Oh, and if you haven't already, please click subscribe. Laters, haters!